Welcome to Storytime at the Warren. I'm Zoe and I'm going to read you a story today. And the story I'm going to read to you is called Trixie the Witches Cat. And it's one of my favourite stories. It's written by Nick Butterworth. Trixie the Witches Cat was a happy cat most of the time. There was only one thing that could make Trixie really unhappy, and luckily it was something Trixie didn't think about most of the time. But then sometimes Trixie just couldn't help it. Then Trixie the happy cat became Trixie the very unhappy indeed cat. She would go into a dark mood as if a dark thundercloud had settled over her head. She threw things and kicked things and shouted all sorts of things. "I hate this horrible, ugly paw," Trixie would shout. And if anyone ever dared to ask why, Trixie would say, "Because it's ugly and it's horrible." Trixie's horrible, ugly paw was really a very nice paw. It was the right size and shape, and the claws worked properly. It was beautifully fluffy, and it was white. And that was the problem. Trixie knew for sure that witches' cats did not have white paws because, well, they just didn't. Trixie tried to keep her white paw hidden, especially when there were other witches' cats about. It was very inconvenient, and it wasn't the answer. "Hi, Trixie, want to come and play?" No thanks. I've got to stay here for a while." At last, after one really bad mood, thundercloud, throwing things and kicking things and shouting things kind of a day, Trixie decided that something just had to be done about that paw. She had a plan. "I'm going to completely stop washing this paw," she said. "Then it will get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier." Trixie thought if she left it long enough, it would go nice and black like her other paws. "I'm not going to wash it for 100 years, she said. At first, Trixie was pleased with her plan. She stopped washing her paw and it did get dirtier and dirtier, but it didn't go black. And after only 3 weeks of her 100 years, Trixie's paw began to smell badly, really badly. Pooh! Trixie had an idea that she would paint her paw black. It was not a good idea. Suddenly, Trixie had another idea. A brilliant idea, she thought. "Of course," she said, "I'm a witch's cat. I'll use magic to turn my paw black." First, Trixie borrowed the witch's wand and her book of spells. Then she got busy with a very important piece of magic. 1 pinch of black pepper, black hair from cat's foot, 2 blackbird feathers, 3 buckets of soot, black treacle, blackberries, 13 times 2, bubble and boil in a black witchy brew. Suddenly, boom! Trixie was amazed to find that she had not been hurt. She could easily comb her hair over a little bald patch on top of her head where she'd lost some fur. But as she looked into the mirror, Trixie was even more amazed. She was delighted to see that her white paw was black. Her magic had worked. Hooray! At last, Trixie was a proper black witch's cat, just like all the others. But, oh dear, now it was impossible to tell which one of the witch's cats was Trixie and which one wasn't. No one could say which witch's cat was which. Without her white paw, even Trixie wondered which one she was. It was then that Trixie began to miss her old white paw. Her nice white paw. Her lovely white paw. She really did. Now it was gone forever. Trixie started to cry. As Trixie wiped away a tear with her new black paw, something very strange happened. The black began to fade, first to dark grey, and then to light grey, and then lighter and lighter until Trixie's paw was snowy white. What was going on? Was it just that Trixie's magic was not very strong? Or could it be there was some stronger magic in Trixie's tears? Trixie had no idea. She only knew that her white paw, which was just the right size and shape, her paw with its properly working claws, her perfectly beautiful, fluffy white paw, was back where it belonged. From that day, Trixie never again went into a bad mood or threw things or kicked things or shouted things. Well, hardly ever, and never about that paw. Trixie was happy to be just the way she was. And that's why I love this story, because it reminds us that we should all be happy just the way we are. Thank you. Bye-bye.